Right, so welcome everyone. So back to CBT Geeks. So today I wanted to introduce mindfulness. So there's probably lots of videos out there explaining mindfulness, but hopefully me and Alice can bring a bit more light to it and say it a bit more succinctly. So I'm going to be introducing it a little bit, and Alice is then going to be annotating that, making it look better. So hopefully we can give you another interesting video. Right, so mindfulness, where does it come from? Why do we use it? So mindfulness comes from Buddhism. What kind of the Western world did is just take out the bits that were useful and put it into mindfulness-based CBT and things like that, and ACT and DBT. So you get these kind of mindfulness elements coming in to all the Western therapies because they found that it was quite helpful. One big name in the area is John Kabat-Zinn. So he's got a really good book. There's a bit of CBT, a bit of mindfulness. So it might be worth looking into that. I might put that just below if you want to check that out. Right, so what does it entail? What is mindfulness? So mindfulness is a being in the present moment. It is purposely focusing on the present moment and in a non-judgmental way. So often we can put things into extremes of good or bad. So we're brought up to categorize things as good or bad. And that can put us into trouble, because if someone gives us a negative experience and we say it's bad, gives us a bad experience, we can then try and push that away and fight that off. So mindfulness is about tolerating experience, or what they called urge surfing. So it's kind of noticing emotions, noticing urges, and just sitting with them, not behaving or acting. So what mindfulness is trying to do is get us away from these processes in our mind, such as worry, rumination, that are future and past based, so that we can sit in the present moment. And it is here in this present moment that we can get peace from these torturous processes. So mindfulness is this non-judgmental, present-focused approach. And we see this in lots of different therapies, and it's really about bringing that focus to present moment, grounding ourselves in details around us, in experience, in sounds, textures, using all our senses. It's a really powerful technique to help us tolerate distressing emotions and not get into cycles that can be quite punishing. So I think Alice has been writing away as I've been talking. So I think the mindfulness is in the middle. The rumination, the worry that we're trying to stop is in the top. We're trying to tolerate those emotions, and we're using the body to ground ourselves. And we're trying to push away from those behaviors that are kind of that aren't tolerating the emotion. I'm sure you can explain it a lot more. So do you want to kind of go from there? How you were kind of visualizing that as I was talking?
Yeah, so what I noticed, James, when you were talking, you were describing quite a few different things that we do in mindfulness that focus on different aspects of, I guess, our internal world. Some of them you related to urge surfing. So say you've got an unhelpful habit that you want to kick, and maybe it's smoking, or maybe it's overeating or something like that. You will have got yourself into this familiar pattern of having the urge to do it and then struggling to resist that. So that's where mindfulness can be really helpful for those sorts of things. There's also a way it relates to our thoughts. So thinking processes like worry and rumination are basically when our attention is taken away from the present and into the past or the future, and mindfulness is used for those. And then we also learn to experience our body differently. So, we know from therapy and from our own experience that the body stores a lot of pain and stress, and can react to whatever the mind is doing. So by using the five senses, we often use that as a way of grounding the body and also tolerating physical sensations and pain. And that relates as well to the emotion tolerance that you described, learning to sit with a range of uncomfortable and difficult emotions, and just being able to allow those things to happen without judging them or doing anything about them. Okay, so this is where mindfulness adds something to the traditional CBT model. The CBT model would understand the relationships between these areas here, so how thoughts affect our feelings, our body and behaviours, and in traditional CBT we might try to change something about those thoughts. We might try to reframe them in a different way. Mindfulness kind of asks us to take a step back and asks us to just use our awareness to kind of uncouple from those processes. So it's not necessarily that we're challenging the thoughts or doing anything about them. We're just noticing them, and we're trying to cultivate this sense of mindful awareness on purpose and without judgment. So that's why I've added it to the middle of the CBT model there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess almost in CBT we're trying to go in, try and get at the belief about why we might be worrying or ruminating, and tackle it and go and try and reevaluate it. Whereas this is saying, let's observe it. Okay, what's happening? Observe. And sit back and break that connection. Just don't engage with it. Up the engagement in now, so that we don't engage with it. So we've got this very kind of CBT is trying to get stuck in, and mindfulness saying no. We can just observe this. Let's change our relationship with our thoughts rather than tackle why we're thinking it.
Exactly.
So very powerful, and I really like the way you've kind of drawn that up. So we've got how mindfulness what mindfulness is, and a little bit here about how it can impact the body, the mind, and our emotions. And it's very powerful technique. Is there anything more you wanted to add, or do you think that we've given a bit of an overview today?
Yeah, I think for me that's a pretty good summary, but obviously if there are any questions or comments, please leave them down below.
Yeah, put them in. And like I said, we'll do a question and answer one. If we get loads of questions going through, we'll do a questions and answers video. So please do like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.